All right, here we go with the Litheli backpack cooler on the back of the E-Cells 5-star. And I gotta tell you guys, this is a lot of weight for the side of this bike like this. Hey, what's going on everyone? So you have to check this thing out. This is the Litheli Frozenpack. It's a portable backpack cooler that has a 12-volt compressor in there to keep things in here frozen or ice cold. This is basically a small portable refrigerator that you can wear on your back for a camping trip, hiking trip, and just short trips in general to like the soccer field and things like that. Now, as of me filming this video, it is very new out and it's gonna be first offered on Indiegogo. Typically, I don't review things that are on Indiegogo until they're actually out for sale to the public because a lot of times you can't trust the campaigns. However, if you follow my channel and watched a lot of my other videos, you know that I've worked with Litheli in the past. I've reviewed their cordless lawnmower, their weed whacker, snow blower, and cordless snow shovel. And I've been very impressed with all of their products, great quality, and I believe in the brand overall. So when they reached out to me and asked me to review this, I said absolutely, because my wife has actually been hounding me to get a smaller portable 12-volt cooler because every time we go to the soccer game, camp and things like that, we always take the bigger one, and sometimes she wants a small one that she can load in the vehicle by herself and it take up less room. And with a 16-liter 17-quart capacity, you can still put tons of food and drinks in this thing and keep them ice cold throughout the day. And this thing actually runs on a 20-volt Litheli U20 battery. But we're gonna go through all the testing today. We're gonna be seeing what kind of power this thing uses on eco mode and max mode. We're gonna see if their claims of it cooling down from 77 degrees to 32 degrees in 15 minutes is accurate. And what's also pretty neat is they are going to have this L-shaped bracket here that you can clip right onto the side of a bicycle like pannier bags, and then you could set that cooler on here and attach it to the side of your bicycle, side of a motorcycle. Now, I don't know how you would attach this to the motorcycle, but pretty cool for a bicycle. We're going to try that out. So let's get into the testing and see how this thing works. I'll put links down below if you guys are interested in checking out any of the specs or details on this. I believe they're going to initially offer two versions, one without the battery, but you will be able to power it from your 12-volt car cigarette lighter output port with the included cord. And I think they're going to offer one with a battery and maybe other packages too. But check out the link down below to see all the details. And then once it's available for a public sale, I'll also put affiliate links down there to it on Amazon or on their website, wherever it's at. And if you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments. I'll be sure to try to answer them. But let's get into the testing. Thanks for watching. So now with everything that comes with this backpack cooler minus the battery, this is the straps, everything you need to make it a backpack, and the cigarette lighter cord. It comes in weighing at 25.2 pounds according to my scale. And if you add one 4 amp hour battery to this pack, which is probably what you'll do if you'll be carrying it camping or on a hiking trip, it's going to be 26.4 pounds. Now you can lower that weight a little bit. If you took off this case up here with the cigarette lighter port and only used the backpack strap, it'd be about 24.3 pounds with the battery, and with the bottom belt just under 25 pounds. So basically I'd say this thing with around one battery is around 25 pounds if you were carrying it on your back empty. And then obviously if you load this thing up, the weight of everything that you put in there is going to add a lot more weight to the backpack. So their claims of it being right around 25 pounds is fairly accurate. And this L-shaped bracket, which is aluminum, weighs 3.9 pounds. Now what you get with this is a belt that goes around your waist here, which zippers to the bottom of this backpack to give it a little bit extra security. And then you also get the upper straps, which go onto the backpack cooler like this. They Velcro and they snap on. And then these clips hook right on these bottom D-rings here for you to be able to wear this thing as a backpack. Now I don't have this lid zippered, so it might be pulling up on it a little bit, but you can put that waist belt around here and that's gonna give you a lot more security, and you might need that if you put a lot of heavy weight in this cooler whenever you're carrying it around. And then the power dish unit, you get a car adapter that you plug into your cigarette lighter, and then this plugs right into the side over here. Or if you opt for the version with a battery or buy a battery, you can power it with the 2 amp hour or the 4 amp hour battery, which goes right into the side over here and clips right in to power the unit. On this flap here, it gives you some kind of soft Velcro here. I think that might be for attaching maybe patches or something like that. And there's Velcro on the lid of this cooler to attach this top thing here. One thing I do want to mention though, if you have this on here and it's loaded up, whenever you go to open up the lid, if this is too heavy, it does come right off. So keep that in mind. This is good to carry somewhere with you, but once you get to where you're going and you want to keep opening this lid, you're probably going to want to take this off of here. It would have been nice if they had some kind of Velcro on here that you can Velcro that down on top. Like if this piece was the other side of this piece, then you could Velcro this on here and that would hold that on there whenever you open this lid. And then I'm not quite sure what these loops here are for. They also have those loops on the side of the cooler for attaching these bags, so maybe you can attach this bag up to here. Not 100% sure on that. Inside here you have a double seal on the lid, which is really nice to see, and there is no latch to latch this lid shut. You either have to use the zipper, or you can use the zipper and these clips here to keep the lid down tight, or you can just use these clips. However you want to do it, but there is no quick latch to latch this lid down. And then you also get a strap here, and this strap would be good for attaching it to the L bracket, or attaching it if you throw it on the seat of your car. You can wrap this around the headrest and attach it to the cooler to keep the cooler from falling over if you hit your brakes or go around a corner. And what's pretty cool about this cooler as well is it will work during heavy vibrations, and after you get to about a 40-degree tilt, it will actually shut off and throw an error code, and that's needed to protect the compressor so that the fluid doesn't get in the lines in the wrong spot and ruin your compressor. Nice safety feature. And what's nice is not only you can put the battery that you're using to power the unit, but you can also store a second battery in this side and 2 additional batteries in this side, which will give you tons of power to last the whole day. You can also actually put batteries in these detachable cases on the side here if you wanted. I'm probably going to store the 12-volt car adapter in one of these pouches so that I don't lose it. And what's also cool about these U20 batteries, if you've seen my other videos, is you can use these as a USB-C charger, which will output 45 watts, or a USB-A port, which will charge your phone, GoPros, other devices really easily, so you can use these as power banks as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind is to recharge these batteries, they do not include a charger, so you would have to use a USB-C charger, something capable of outputting up to 45 watts if you want to charge these batteries quickly. And these batteries do not recharge in the cooler whenever they're in the cooler to power it, and then you plug your 12-volt adapter in. That would have been one really nice thing to see, is if the internal battery would recharge while it was running from your car, but it does not. You can either run it from your DC port on your car or the battery, but as you switch back and forth, if you're in your vehicle and shut your vehicle off, the cooler will shut down for a few seconds before it re-engages automatically and then starts running on the battery. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I've seen some people ask in the Indiegogo forums if it had a solar charge input, and it does not. And again, that's probably because this does not recharge your batteries in the unit whenever they're plugged in. Now, for the inside size, it's about 11 3/4 inches wide by 8 1/4 inches deep. And then on the deep end, it's about 13 1/2 inches tall. And on the shallow end, it's about 8 1/4 inches tall to the top of this rubber seal. But what's nice is you can put a bottle of water here standing straight up, and it fits just fine, or you can lay them down in here this way, and you have plenty of room to pack this thing up laying down if you were using 16.9 ounce bottles. And then also half gallons will fit down in here perfect. 2 half gallons of milk would fit down here nicely, or a milk and orange juice. So for your taller items, really nice that that's deep on that end. Some of those other 12-volt coolers that are small like that are real short, and sometimes you can't put half gallons of milk or taller items in there. So really nice that they give you a little area there that's a little bit taller. And I do like that it takes up less of a footprint. If you're putting this in your vehicle, on your seat, or on your bike, it's going to be a lot easier to haul around versus being a shorter, longer unit. So now let's see how fast this thing cools down. So now I'm going to put a temperature probe down inside here, and we're going to see how fast this thing will cool down. Right now, it's an ambient temperature of 86 degrees outside, and the top temperature is going to be the temperature of inside the cooler. So now I'm going to power this from my EcoFlow power station. Now, if you had the Litheli power station, that would be more ideal because it actually has slots in there that you can recharge these batteries very quickly directly from that power station. But I'm going to use this so that we can see how many watts it draws whenever I turn this on and see how fast it cools down. Turn it on, you just hit this, hold this power button in here, and then right now it's on eco mode. To switch that, you just hit this settings button, and now it's on max. And it's saying that the inside of the cooler is 71 degrees according to this display. So I'm going to turn this all the way down here. We're going to see what kind of wattage it pulls. And one thing I noticed when you adjust this, it goes up 2 degrees every time you click it, but every once in a while it's only 1 degree. So if you see this 15, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 5. So sometimes it goes down 1 degree, sometimes it goes down 2 degrees. But we're going to turn this thing all the way down to -4, start a timer, and see how fast it can cool down in 15 minutes. Right now, both of them are at 82. And actually, once the pump started kicking on, this actually went up a little bit. So now it's saying it's 77 degrees inside. So we're just gonna let this go for 15 minutes and see what it can get to. And on max mode currently, it's drawing 40 watts. When you're on eco mode, it runs somewhere around 35 to 40 watts. And in max mode, it runs anywhere between 50 and 60 watts. So now if you have this thing plugged in powering from your vehicle, it could potentially drain your battery if you shut your battery off and your cigarette lighter port on your car continues to work. Most vehicles, it will shut it off, but on some, like in some Jeeps, it will continue to run. So keep that in mind. However, there are 3 settings that you can change on here: high, medium, and low cutoff mode, so that if you don't want your battery to drain down too much, if this thing was in your car running and you're not around, you could set that to high mode and it will shut off at 11.1 volts and it won't cut in unless it sees at least 12.4 volts. Medium would be 10.4 volt shut off and won't cut in unless it's 11.7 volts. And then low would drain your battery pretty low in your vehicle. It wouldn't cut the cooler off until 9.6 volts and it will cut back in at 10.9 volts. To change those modes, you want to hold this setting button down here on the front until it says PR. 3 lines is high, 2 lines here is medium, and then 1 line at the bottom is low. I'll probably just leave it on low because in my vehicle, the outlet actually shuts off when I shut the ignition off, so it shouldn't drain the battery, and then it'll continue to run off the battery after the vehicle's turned off. As you can see, it's pulling about 60 watts from the power station and about 56, almost 57 watts from this meter here in max mode. And it's been 7 minutes and it's already down to 65 degrees according to this temperature meter here, and it says 69 on the cooler. So very good so far for just 7 minutes in. Let's go another 8 minutes to the 15-minute mark and see what it's down to. Now, I tested this with a 4 amp hour battery inside my house last night. It was a 74 degree ambient temperature in there, and after this thing was pre-chilled, I had 6 bottles of water in there set to 32 degrees, and this thing ran 8 hours and it just dropped to 1 battery bar on that battery. So to me, that's pretty amazing. Now, yes, it was only 74 degrees in there. Obviously, if you're outside, outdoors, and it's 90 degrees, you're not gonna get as much runtime, but I definitely did not expect to even get 8 hours inside my house off of 1 4 amp hour battery. But I'm gonna pack this thing up full later like I would go on a trip, and we're gonna see how long it will run out here in 80-some degree weather. And what's pretty cool is there's a fan on the back side here. Not very loud, that fan's probably louder than the compressor. And the air flows through this vent in the back and out the vent in the front, so the heat will come out this vent here. So definitely do not block those if you're putting it in a vehicle. Make sure you leave a little bit of gap in behind and don't block this one in the front. But it's been 11 minutes and 44 seconds and we're down to 36 degrees already. So far, awesome. All right, guys, so we just hit 32 degrees and we're at 14 minutes, 42 seconds. But on the other meter here, it's showing 22 degrees inside, 23 there, 24. So this is fluctuating just slightly. Now back down to 23, now 19. So this is fluctuating up and down. However, it's been 15 minutes. This says 32 degrees, and I think it said it started at 70 some, but 84 on, or 82 on this, I believe. So their claim of cooling down to at least 32 degrees in 15 minutes is definitely legit, and this thing cools pretty quickly. Now my refrigerator in my house is running right around 40 degrees here. So let's get this thing loaded up. I'll show you what it can hold and let's see how long it lasts on a battery. And you would think they almost made this cooler exactly wide enough for these when they designed this, because half a gallon of milk and this juice fits in there perfectly on that lower end. And you can see here, bottles of water fit nicely this way. All right, so I got milk and a juice down there, 11 bottles of water and 2 Capri Suns all in this cooler. A pretty good bit of capacity for a backpack cooler. All right, now I have it set on eco mode and it's using about 36 to 37 watts from the power station and according to my meter. So eco mode's about 35 to 40 watts and max mode is about 55 to 60 watts. All right, so this thing does have some nice handles here, but let's see how much this thing weighs now, loaded up like I have it. Then I'm gonna put this thing on my back and we're gonna take a hike through the woods and see how it does. All right, so with it loaded down, it's looking like 41.5 pounds, and that's with 2 batteries loaded to the max. And this is where this bottom belt buckle here is gonna come in handy for a heavy load like this. So got it loaded up. How many pounds did I say it was? 40.5 pounds or something like that. All right, let's go for a hike. All right, guys, so it's actually working pretty good as a backpack. Now this 41.5 pounds is gonna get pretty tiresome depending on how far you're hiking. Now they don't recommend this for super long hikes. This is actually meant for like the last mile. So if you're going somewhere off grid or whatever, and you have up to a mile or so to hike at the end, this is gonna be nice because you don't have to carry it with those two handles and you still have your hands free to carry other items. But I have a GPS actually going. Just gonna take it for a walk because you know me, I always like to test things the way they're meant to be tested, the way they're meant to be used and advertised to be used. And right now, it's saying that I went 0.5 miles, so almost a half a mile here, which I find that hard to believe. I didn't think I went that far yet. Just keep going and see how it holds up, see how it does. One thing, if I get thirsty, I can stop and get a cold drink. Keep in mind that if you have this on a bicycle, it's going to be a lot of weight on the side and the kickstand may not hold it if you try to put your kickstand down. So if you do have this on the side as a pannier bag and you stop to take a break, you may have to lean your bike against something because 41 pounds on the side of a bicycle will probably make it fall over and the kickstand probably isn't going to hold it. So if you plan on using this as a pannier, maybe you would be better off putting it in a basket on the back, or like I said, just be mindful of your kickstand when you stop. But overall, working great, guys. All right, let's see how far we went. .9 miles, so got another 1/10 of a mile to go to hit a mile. So let's get it. Definitely a good workout. Hey, I could wear this thing when I'm riding e-bikes and show you guys how e-bikes perform with heavier riders, because right now the weight of me plus this pack is about, let's see, 175 plus 40 is 215 or so, somewhere around there. So I can show you guys heavier riders riding e-bikes if I wear this thing. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm gonna be doing that. So overall, this thing's working pretty great as far as a backpack goes. When we get back to the house, I'll take it off and try to carry it to show you the alternative of how hard it would be to carry it instead of being on your back like this. And to be honest, I don't know how much I'm gonna have it loaded up like this if I'm going somewhere on a normal couple hour ordeal. I'm not gonna have this much stuff in here. I'm definitely not gonna have a half a gallon of milk, a half a gallon of orange juice. I'll probably just have a bunch of waters, some things for the kids, but probably not gonna have it packed up as heavy as this on a normal everyday use. All right, made it back. And I went 1.08 miles, 0.09 now. Just hit 1.09 miles. So now let's see how hard it is to get this thing off. So unbuckle this, loosen these up. And I think that's gonna make it a little easier, loosening them up far like that. Gonna go ahead and set it down back on this, make it a little easier, and not bad at all. Pretty nice. Now that is gonna give you a workout, especially on your shoulders and neck area, and some of your back's gonna definitely be hurting a little bit carrying this much weight. Still 30 degrees. Now let me try to put it back on with these straps adjusted like this. I think it's gonna be a lot easier when they're fully open. Oh yeah. So definitely open them straps all the way up before you put it on, and then tighten them up before you pick it up. That will make it a lot easier. And that's why I love testing this stuff, guys. Got to see how it works, got to know what to expect in case you want to carry it out, or in case I want to carry it out in the woods. I'm going to know what to expect and how far I can go. Now, honestly, I'm not going to want to carry this thing with this much weight more than about a mile, but a lot of places you can get within a mile, hike to it with this, have a nice picnic, and keep everything nice and cold. And this is the alternative to wearing it on your back. You'd be carrying it like this for about a mile. I mean, it's not too bad, but definitely a lot easier carrying it on your back than trying to carry it like this for a mile. So it is doable. With two people, obviously it'd be a lot easier, but you don't always have two people to carry it. So being able to carry it on your back is nice. All right, so it's been running for about an hour and a half now, just on that battery throughout that whole hike and up until now. It's an ambient temperature of right around 90 degrees out here. One of my probes says 87, the other one says 90. We're gonna go ahead and open it up. It's been holding 30 degrees. We're gonna go open it up, get a nice cold drink out of here. And this stuff is nice and cold. Here you go, bud. That Gonna grab water for myself. All right, here we go with the Litheli backpack cooler on the back of the E-Cells 5-star. And I gotta tell you guys, this is a lot of weight for the side of this bike like this. It's a little bit awkward. Maybe if you had some weight, maybe a pannier filled up on the other side to balance the weight out, but you could definitely kind of feel it pulling on the one side a little bit. I don't know if I'd want to go over a bunch of bumps like this or not, but it is working. It is on there pretty well. Let's go up this hill here. If you guys want to see a bad bike with some crazy power, check out the full review on this. It's a crazy deal for this bike. Let's really test it out here. I mean, it's hanging on pretty good. But this might be good on like the side of a motorcycle or something, or on a long trip, but it does make it feel a little bit shaky with 41.5 pounds back there hanging off of one side. But it is holding on pretty good, but I feel like that might be just a lot of weight hanging back here on the side of the bike. And I did not want to scratch the frame on this, and it would have been metal on metal, so I did put a piece of foam down here on the bottom of the L bracket where it rests up against the frame, because I didn't want it making noise and I didn't want it scratch my frame. So that might be something that they might want to update in the future, is maybe put some kind of foam or something on the back of there, or some kind of cushion to keep it from rattling or scratching your frame. And it is a little tricky trying to figure out how to mount it, but once you get it mounted, it seems to be working fairly well. But to be honest, I don't know how much I'm going to be using this on the back of this bike. Follow along and I'll show you how I have it attached. Ooh, yeah, you can definitely feel it pulling. Even when you try to get off the bike, it wants to pull it over sideways. And I'd be very cautious of your kickstand braking if you have this much weight on it, because I've had kickstands before break without 41 pounds on the side of the bike. And that was on the Fido D11. It was aluminum also, and the aluminum broke. But they give you these clips here. I just use these on the top here to clip it. And then the strap that they give you for around the seat, I used to clip it to my rack on this side, and then to the L bracket on this side. Now, if I was going very far with this cooler, I would probably attach it better than this, because I didn't feel like this was attached good enough, and I felt like it was still moving around a good bit. So maybe a few bungees or maybe another ratchet strap around the bottom. Didn't really see a good way to attach anything down here to the bottom to keep that secure down there, but it did work. All right, got the Velcro off, and you can see it just unclips just like that. So cool concept, but like I said, don't know how much I'm going to be using that. If I did use it, I probably wouldn't put that much in it. I'd probably have some food, some sandwiches, maybe a couple drinks in there. If we were going out on a long bike trip, wanted to stop and have a picnic, I would not have it loaded down with that much weight. But like I said, when you park your bike, you may want to lean it up against something so that you don't break your kickstand off. All right, everyone, so I let this thing run set at 30 degrees for the past 7 hours, and it just finally now hit low. So the display will show low on there when your battery starts to get low. It's still holding a temperature of 37 degrees inside, 78 outside. And we started with an ambient temperature of 82 degrees outside. It's been sitting out here under my gazebo for the past 7 hours. Well, actually, we did that hike in the whole second half of the review on this battery. So 7 hours later, this thing is still running. And that's pretty amazing for a 4 amp hour battery. I did not expect to get that kind of runtime out of this at an 82 degree ambient temperature. Like I said, it did slightly drop to 78 degrees outside now. There, that's a little easier to see. So the cooler is still 38 degrees inside, 78 degrees outside. And I've noticed that the temperature on the cooler, which it's not going to show you now because it just says low, but it's been running about 5 to 10 degrees lower than what it was set at. I kept it set at 30 degrees, and on here it pretty much maintained 35 degrees. Every once in a while it would get up to around 38 to 39 degrees. But that's typical of most coolers. Even on my other coolers, when I use them, I set them at 32 degrees and it maintains about 38 to 40 in those as well. So pretty typical of a cooler like this to do that. But that's amazing that it ran 7 hours on one battery. Now grant you, if you had this thing in a hot car and it was 120 degrees in there, you're not going to get 7 hours of runtime. But now I know what to expect. I can expect that if I'm out on a trip, I'm going to get at least around 5 hours. And during that time, I could be charging up my second battery. And then when this one dies, I could throw that battery in and just continue to run cycles like that all day, keeping the stuff in here super cold. So honestly, the only thing that I would like to see updated on this cooler would be a battery level on the display here. There is nothing to show you how much battery life you have left. you have to unzipper the side pocket and then hit that button on the battery. It will show you how many bars you have out of 4, but it would be nice to see that on the display as well, or at least show you the voltage when you're plugged in. And the second thing that I would absolutely love to see is if the battery would charge up off of 12 volt when it was plugged into your cigarette lighter while you were driving, and then when you shut your car off, it would run off the battery. That would be absolutely amazing if this thing could charge the battery internally. But other than that, I could see myself using this a lot when I'm going out on my brother's boat, or when I'm going to soccer games, short trips, things like that. And honestly, I think it's going to be pretty amazing. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any questions, please put them down below, and hopefully I can answer them. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and checking out more videos, because I plan to have a lot of more outdoor gear on my channel here in the future. If you're looking for e-bikes, that's what I specialize in the most. Make sure you check out those videos, and please stick around. I will see you all around on the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later.